Hello and welcome back to Wake Up with Dr. Cheryl, Wealth Transformation. I'd like to start with something funny. This is only intended for humor. Wine is constant proof that God loves us and loves to see us happy. Benjamin Franklin. The mission of Wealth Transformation Movement is to transform each individual's personal and business relationship with money and wealth altogether. There is more than enough money circulating on this planet altogether for everyone, even the babies in India and Africa, to have between $8 and $10 million apiece in their bank account. This can facilitate in education, healing famine, poverty, and hunger with the change of mentality, spirituality, and emotionality towards wealth. So, what is the probable cause of all of our problems? It is fundamentally an unconscious mental and spiritual problem. Wealth is a gift. If the gift is received with gratitude, the receiver recognizes there is a personal responsibility with integrity, generosity, and the right use of this great gift. The greater the gift, the greater the responsibility is. Since wealth equals power in our modern world, those who are wealthy have a power to make great positive changes globally. Fundamentally, at present, the world runs on a disproportionate monetary system, and there is a gross imbalance where wealth resides. In truth, only 3% of the population control 97% of the global economy. Some of the inequitable motives seem to be an endless, obsessive need for more and more and more money and power, with little concern for the welfare of the greater majority of beings, human and otherwise. But as a humankind, cooperatively, we are on the cusp of a great paradigm shift in consciousness. We are moving into a phase of community, cooperation, and compassion, and away from the old paradigm of individuality, competition, and selfishness. If we continue our old ways, which are myopic, self-centered, and destructive, and do not embrace this new paradigm, our survival as a species altogether is in doubt. Wake up to what is happening around the world today. So how can we bring about such change? We are the catalysts for unconscious and spiritual change. With the relationship of money and wealth on this program, we hope that you will hear this message and take steps towards your own healing with your relationship with yourself and others regarding money and wealth. This also encompasses unconditional love. I get asked frequently, what is unconditional love? Well, first of all, it is loving yourself with all of your imperfections, loving yourself in whole, loving your body just the way it is and just the way it is not, loving your family and friends with all of its imperfections, and maybe they are not imperfections because that's what makes you love them even more. Unconditional love is freedom to share your love with others from your heart, with loving words and affection, whether you think they deserve it or not. So you see, this all starts within yourself first, and how you love yourself unconditionally. Love without conditions. This doesn't mean without healthy boundaries. We as humans need healthy boundaries to maintain respect and honor. So please, write on your mirror or somewhere you can see it all the time, I love myself unconditionally, and leave it there for at least 28 days. This is your beginning. We have an inspiring guest this evening, Robert Hahn Bishop. This is the second segment with Hahn and continuing our discussion from the first segment. Robert Hahn Bishop is the director of the Institute for Advancement for Humanity and a producer-host of Transforming Reality, an internet talk show. The primary purposes of this institute and talk show are to support individuals and organizations working to raise human consciousness in critical areas of human endeavor through education, promotion, and the provision of human and financial resources, and to give birth and foster world-changing movements with present focus on wealth transformation movement and prisoners of peace movement. Han is also a transformational life coach, counselor, and healer, bringing a lifetime of experience and learning in service to all those who choose to work with him. With a PhD from Northwestern University specializing in environmental psychology, Han spent several decades in corporate and government leadership positions before pursuing his passion for awakening others to their higher and highest guidance. Han calls his work Awaken Guidance. It is a profound transformational process that utilizes ancient shamanic and modern therapeutic healing practices. Using the powerful techniques of awakened guidance, Han counsels, heals, and teaches clients of all ages, inspiring them to go beyond present limitations and to base their lives in contribution, well-being, and expression of their true purpose. Hello, Han, and thank you so much for being here. I've already done your introduction on your bio, and I'm just really grateful that you're here and thankful because you see what I'm doing, and I want everybody to see what you're doing.
For all mankind, because it's not okay that little kids in Africa don't have enough water to drink. It's not okay that little kids are subject to brutality and the violence and the craziness that goes on.
And it's not okay that they don't have enough food.
And they don't have enough food.
I mean, I don't remember exactly the statistics, but even in our country, it's like 1 in 13 or 1 in 10, I think, are nutritionally deprived. That to me is pathetic.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be that way.
No, it should be.
So wake up, wake up, wake up.
Yeah, and so little green pieces of paper shouldn't be something that stands in the way of people getting the least the fundamental needs of life met. And you know, I kind of look at wealth, no matter where it comes from, whether someone is immensely successful in some chosen profession or someone has great talent, like, you know, some of our actors and musical performers who have immense wealth come to them, or whether it's someone who wins the lottery or someone is part of a very wealthy family. The wealth that they receive is a gift. And when it's seen that way, instead of trying to hold on to it, there can be a sense of gratitude for having it, and then a sense of responsibility and wanting to help others naturally. Yeah. And I think that's the real shift that's the wealth transformation.
That's absolutely right there. That is the key.
So if everyone who began to attain wealth also saw that, you know, well, I've been given this great gift, whatever the source is, as we've talked a minute ago. Now, I will live a good life, but I also know that I'm responsible for helping to create
and contributing
to others in a major way.
Yes.
And I know Ralph Nader wrote a book. I believe the title is called "Only the Super Rich Can Save Us," and he makes the point about how there are people in the world who have such immense wealth. There's
and you're talking about specifically monetary.
Yes, immense financial resources, immense holdings and wealth, money. And many of them have more money than some countries have altogether.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
And some of them, you know, notably, you know, Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, and, you know, even this fellow from Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, has begun to say, okay, let's join forces and contribute significant amount of our money to help others. And it would seem that if there was a movement of super rich people who began to see their wealth and their immense power to make positive change from a different level of consciousness and be willing to go, wow, you know, because I know that the times in my life when I've had significant, when I worked in the corporate world, I had a very well-paying job, and I had lots of money flowing in constantly. It was my great pleasure to give it.
Yes, yes.
You know, I was having an enjoyable life and not wanting for anything.
And your purpose, or what you're just saying, is also, it's not just the top 3%. It's all in between. Everybody.
Yeah.
You know, what's relative to giving.
Yes.
And give a little bit more.
Yes. So I believe that is a shift in consciousness with respect to money altogether. I remember one time I took a prosperity course from a young man who's actually, his family lives in Green Bay, and they're very wealthy. Definition of it. He says, I believe money is basically a form of energy.
Yeah, it is.
And there's three aspects to prosperity. There's receiving it, there's sustaining, and there's releasing.
Yeah.
So the receiving is about, and of course a lot of personal work can be done. You know, a lot of money gurus and financial, spiritual teachers talk about people's belief systems that they're not worthy to receive.
Yeah, right. That's like a basis. So,
you know, there's a lot of, certainly a lot of that, and some very wonderful people who teach about that and undermining your belief systems. But fundamentally, it's about being able to receive, whether you receive through earnings or you open to gifting, or so money can flow to you. Energy can, let's put it, energy can flow to you in the form of money from expected and unexpected sources.
Amen.
Okay? Right. And then there's the ability to sustain it.
Yes.
In other words, some
and
people...
you need to be practical. You need to be able to manage your money. That's the basis of that.
Look at so many of the lottery, the people who win the lottery.
And it's gone.
They all of a sudden they've got all this money. They don't
know what they don't know how to manage.
And within a short order, they're back to where they were before. Or they're suffering the same emotional problems around it as they had before. They just have more of it, you know? So there's the ability to sustain.
And one thing about wealth transformation is creating and maintaining the healthy relationship with money.
Absolutely, yes.
And not being extreme either way, but having that healthy relationship. And that's what this is all about.
Yeah, and so and then the third component, releasing.
Yes.
Which is, okay, you put the money back in flow for the sake of others, not just for yourself. So you invest in something that's going to make more money for you. That's wise. But it's also about investing in things that make a difference in other people's lives.
Yes.
So he said, and he said, my family is very wealthy, but he said, I want to tell you they're not prosperous.
Yeah.
He said they don't have any problem receiving,
and
they don't have any problem sustaining,
but
they're fearful. In other words, once they have it, they start to clamp on it, be afraid. Oh, somebody's going to take this away from me.
That mentality is
right, and then so they're not able to release easily, and they're unhappy.
Yes.
Here they are, living in paradise here, and they're unhappy because they don't have a right relationship to the gift that's been given them.
Yes, and you know one of the principles that I think people don't understand with that is when you give, and when you give as much as you possibly can, you're giving to yourself. It's a twofold. It's a catch-22.
Yes.
Because when you give, you're giving to yourself. Because that reward of that feeling is when you're giving. That's what it's all about. I mean, other than, of course, you're giving and you're helping society and different things that you give your money to. But that's what it's all about. And people don't understand that. Holding on, it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work in every area of life, but
that's right.
It certainly doesn't
and especially
work
with
in
love.
Yeah.
And that's another subject that I talk about, unconditional love, and as far as part of the wealth transformation, because loving yourself unconditionally helps you to expand the paradigm that we're talking about with wealth transformation.
Well, I guess the analogy would be, prosperity is being generous with money. Love is being generous with spirit. Or,
yes, and that's
in
all
other
part
words,
of the
it
money.
gives the
That's
heart.
all together. And,
Yes.
and I know there's been studies done about people that are stingy with their money, are stingy with their heart, with giving love. So it's, how open do you want to be?
It goes hand in hand.
It does.
It really is a spiritual matter.
Yeah.
See, and so what I see in terms of the wealth transformation movement is bringing together people who've been instrumental in this field for some time. The people who teach about prosperity, the people who teach individuals how to overcome any obstacles to themselves receiving, and how to manifest that in various kinds of ways.
And I still say the basis is unconditional love for yourself. Whenever I get in a room with people, one of the first questions I ask is, how many of you have written on your mirror and on your window, wherever you can see it multiple times a day, I love myself unconditionally? Because when you can feel that, then it opens you up to all kinds of healthy, wonderful, unconscious, releasing unconscious bad behaviors or that aren't serving you. And it's also opening you up to wealth.
And I think you're right. I believe you're right that that's the fundamental essence.
That's the basis. That's the basic.
And there are usually belief systems that people hold unconsciously that prevent that from actually occurring. So to be able to work through that is
and of course, first thing is taking inventory of that. Each individual, which I've done multiple times myself, is taking inventory of how your thoughts are and what comes out of your mouth. What the words that you use that comes out of your mouth about money or relationships, exactly. I mean, how many people really stop and really think, unless you're really on the evolution to making yourself the best that you can be. I mean, that's what it takes, is to really listen to what you're saying in all your conversations, what you're saying inside of your head to yourself.
And the words that you use with others
Yes, and taking inventory of that, and then once because I can remember getting negative, 22 years ago, I can remember getting negative, and I've been on this path for many years, and I remember screaming out, "Stop!" Because I don't want to think negative thoughts. It doesn't serve us. I mean, I still catch myself once in a while. I'm not perfect. I don't think positive all the time, but I catch myself when I start thinking negative.
There's some self-understanding and self-observation that helps you to see when you're doing that.
Yes, and that's what I pray that everybody can do that, so they can have that unconditional love, that they can, so they can be the best that they can be in every department of their lives, and especially with love and money, because our society is around money. I mean, not that money's everything, I don't mean that, but it's having that healthy you have a healthy relationship with yourself and with your family, your friends, your loved one, your beloved, whomever, then it's all part of it. It should all be integral, because money is energy, love's energy. It's the same principle. It's the same principle.
Well, the other interesting thing that I thought of, I remember, how people tend to value themselves and value others in terms of money. In other words, money becomes a measure for how someone values themselves. And
in our society, that is a big thing.
And that's an important thing to step out of. So there are
totally.
various, so that's what I mean. There are various, people who teach different subjects, different programs that help to raise consciousness around unconscious belief systems, around the whole matter of money altogether. And when these people start to come together, instead of each individual, well, I have my program, I have this program, somebody else has this program, if they begin to come together and to collaborate and support each other, so that this can grow into an actual movement where the collaboration of the individuals who are attracted to each one of these teachers becomes part of a movement to shift how we relate to money altogether as humankind.
And that's how it will make the impact to society.
Right. And you know, it also starts out by helping those who are less fortunate. Well, actually, it starts out by raising consciousness.
Education. It's totally raising consciousness.
Raising awareness.
And yes, totally.
Through education.
Yes, and
through various kinds of personal transformation work.
Yes, yes.
And then communicating the right perspective. I see myself at the stage of life I'm in as Wayne Dyer calls it the afternoon of your life, when your life turns from being concerned with success to being more focused on how you can make a contribution. I think that's a sort of a maturity, and he calls it the afternoon of your life rather than being a senior citizen or
yeah, well, that doesn't sound
whatever.
nice anyway, does it?
But I like that, the afternoon of your life. I thought it was a beautiful
Sounds like
expression.
it should be a song.
Yeah, it could be. Maybe it is.
Yeah.
And you know, so at this point where you want to make a contribution, it's also, I see that where this paradigm shift that's beginning, and I believe that's the real significance of 2012, is that it's really signals this shift from this, independence, selfishness, competition.
It's called Wake Up.
Wake up.
That's why I call my show that, is Wake Up. It's time to wake up.
Yes, it is time to wake up.
I want to see a huge impact in my lifetime.
Okay.
And I figure I'll be here for quite a while, so
okay.
So I'm thinking positive. And there again, I'm raising the consciousness on that. I don't want to put a limitation on it.
Well, the reason I said that there could be a lengthy time is that I look at myself as being sort of like a way shower. Like, okay.
A change agent?
Yeah, that's same, this is...
You're on the transition team, as Deepak Chopra says, the transition team.
This is not the way to go.
Yeah.
This is the way to go.
Yeah.
So to be able to show the way, to point the way through the communications, through where I put my energy to help others or not to help others, but to be a persuasive force for the change that needs to occur in whatever way I can.
And that's where your institute comes in.
Yeah, through my own writings, through speaking, through my work with clients individually, through supporting others through the radio show, through creating the institute, which will provide a powerful base to help with this sort of transformative work in whatever arena it needs to take place. Wealth transformation is the one that we're most focused on here at present.
You and I have been having brainstorming about this now for a little while, and I appreciate your support with this, because I don't want to do it by myself, and I have no idea of doing it by myself. But the more cooperation we get around this, the more impact we will have out there in the society.
Well, the other reason that I, conceived of this idea was my own personal experience. I mean, for many years I was international sales manager for a large corporation. And I was responsible for sales and service management for this company.
Well, you did quite a bit of international travel.
Yeah, well, that, of course, So I was responsible for all of Asia, all of Latin America, and all of Europe, including Eastern Europe. So I was constantly traveling to all these different countries and making friends with different people.
What a wonderful opportunity.
It was the best job I ever had. I'm totally grateful for it. And it was very lucrative financially. And I loved it. I just loved this job. And then when it came to an end, there was one of these corporate buyouts, and they did away with different positions, and I was let go at a certain point. And I said, okay, I think I'm done with the corporate world in terms of working in it.
Yes.
You know, I could
Yes.
still work in it in terms of the kind of work we're talking about. But I decided that's when I made the shift to wanting to make a contribution. And so after doing some personal work, I actually entered into a shamanic training program for a couple of years, and we participated in what they call the medicine wheel process. And the medicine wheel, if you're not familiar with it,
Yeah,
has
I am.
4 directions, you know, and in the particular tradition that I started with, I studied, you open in the east. This is where you invoke the purpose of you being in this program or path or whatever you want. And then you stay in there. So each period of time took 6 months. And at the end of this program, which was part of like opening to new possibilities, letting go of old belief systems,
Yes.
committing, I realized that I wanted to work as someone who was a coach, a counselor, a healer, and
So that was kind of
teacher.
That
Right.
was your opening
Right.
of
Yeah.
doing what you're doing
Right,
now,
that's
your
how it
purpose and your
began.
passion. Oh,
See,
I love
so
that.
so
Okay.
then what happened
Okay.
was because of I really actually got a very nice severance package from
Yes.
this corporation
Company,
I
yeah.
worked for, and I also had accumulated some personal wealth. So I was free to just so I began to study different healing arts and coaching techniques and counseling, and became very good at it within a period of years. You know, I did
You
that
know
for
what's so
several years.
wonderful about this is that you have the maturity to be able to communicate it effectively.
Right.
You know, you
Right.
waited a long time to get to this point,
Right.
but you have the maturity and all this other experience.
Yes, I think that's very useful, and
Yes.
it serves me very well in being able to counsel and coach
Absolutely.
people. But the reason I'm mentioning all of this is because at a certain point I got to, and then people start saying, oh, well, now you've got all this ability. Now how are you going to promote yourself? Oh, well, you got to get a website up. You got to learn how to use the social media. You got to get on the Google, you know, there's search
ranking.
engines, so you're
Yeah, the
ranking on the,
ranking, yeah.
and I'm going, what? You know, because even though I
Yes.
was, you know,
Well, that whole
pretty
social-
technically sophisticated, computer technology
yeah.
moves so fast.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden I was going, wow. And so it took a lot of personal perseverance and effort on my part to do all of that
Yes.
as so I could do what I do. Now I
Yes, yes.
persisted and did it,
Yes. Yes.
but I realized what a tremendous challenge that is for individuals to have to do. And that's where this idea of this institute. I said, people shouldn't have to do this. Why does someone who's a talented healer or has wonderful spiritual wisdom or has developed some brilliant whatever, has to go through this whole technological, you know, exercise?
Well, I think it's good to have at least an overall understanding.
It's good
of
to
it,
understand
you know,
it.
even though you don't have to actually do it.
That's right.
Have somebody else do it.
Yes, it is. It's
Yeah.
very good to have an understanding, and that's where the education comes in.
Yeah.
But what I see is the Institute becomes an instrument for collaborative assistance. So people come and they have this marvelous whatever that they want to manifest. And instead of having to go through all of this, so each person, you know, because that's the old model. Oh, well, you want to be a coach. Well, this is what you got to do. And then the next coach comes along. Well, this is what you got to do. You got to find your niche. You got to do this. You got to do that. And they're all busy, you know, working intensely, spending lots of money to somehow find out how to do that. When if we could provide a collaborative instrument
Right,
that people could come and you could say, wow, you know, your stuff is pretty amazing. You have something good to get out. Well, here's the team.
Yeah, right.
Here's the
right.
team that you
Yeah,
need.
right.
Here's the money you need to get it moving. Here's the here's the human resources, the individuals with professional abilities who their passion and their love is all of this technology.
Yeah.
And so they can be brought to assist those who are working directly to raise human consciousness. So there doesn't have to be each individual going through this whole painful process that just seems to get more and more complex as time goes on. You know, I remember years ago when all this technology came in, they were saying, well, you know, in a certain period of time, we'll all be only having to work about 3 hours a day at the most, and, you know, we'll have robots will take care of all this stuff. Well, the evidence is just the opposite. In other words, the world has become more complex. Everything's speeding up.
And we need to make it more simple. That's the key, is to simplify things. And speaking of simplifying...
Simple and collaborative.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what it takes.
So that each individual doesn't think they got to do it themselves.
I know that there's one other thing that I wanted to talk about, or that you wanted to talk about, because our time is slowly coming to a halt.
Okay.
And I wanted you to talk about the work that you're doing with the inmates.
This is another project.
Yes, if you could kind of give us
I mean, a friend of mine he met a woman, and he began to see, and her daughter was actually married to a prisoner in a prison in Solano State Prison, which is a fairly high security facility. Not maximum security, but a high security. And this man was in prison for life without possibility of parole. And she married him. And I was like, wow, how did that come about? Yeah. And I met her and I talked to her, and she told me about how it occurred, and I became very interested in meeting this man, because what happened was he was a very, you know, bad hombre in his early years, and you know, got involved in some very violent crime and was sent to prison for life for it. Not only life, but life, so supposedly
life after parole. Life.
Right. But what happened for him in prison is he went through a profound spiritual transformation. I mean, everything about what had brought him there brought him to the place where he went through a spiritual transformation. You know, the spiritual process is very individual.
I wonder if he can talk to Charles Manson and help him. No.
Yeah, well, I mean, so what has happened, this man has gone through a powerful So I went to visit him. And I became very inspired after reading his story and meeting him, and what an absolute, clear, beautiful being he has transformed into. And that his presence, what he does is he works with other individuals in a very, you know, hostile environment, you know. And he works with individuals to begin to shift their own consciousness.
So he's helping elevate their consciousness.
He's doing it one-on-one, and because he's a powerful, you know, former bad boy, he's got a lot of influence, so he makes a difference. And then he banded with another fellow who was a Native American, Apache, as a matter of fact, and this man went through on his own a similar transformation. And they came together, and through the help of this fellow's wife, they started this movement called Prisoners for Peace.
Okay, that's
which is about, you know, transforming prisoners' consciousness.
I want to see that get out.
Right.
To where all those bad boys that are waiting in line to be committing their crimes to stop and not have to go to prison.
Yeah. So my sense of this thing is that they're doing something pretty remarkable, and that should be more widespreadly known and communicated, what they're doing.
Yes.
So I'm trying to find a way, I'm finding a way to interview these fellows.
Right.
And once I create this interview, I want to get it to a woman who is head of corrections in California. She seems to be a very awakened, enlightened woman. She's really progressive. I've read an interview with her. She used to live in Marin County. They did this interview with her, and I was very impressed with her. And I feel like something like this, create this
well,
interview,
that's what it's going to take.
and then get it to her and say, what about if these men could become responsible for trying to initiate the same kind of a movement in the prisons throughout California?
Yes, and then
what
you
kind
can
of
go
a difference
out.
could it make?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
And how could it change the perception of people in prisons
Right.
by those who are out?
Absolutely.
So this is another.
And thanks for sharing that.
Okay.
We're coming to the close, and is there anything that you would like to say in closing before we?
Well, in the interest of collaboration, if any of your listeners is moved to participate with us in the wealth transformation movement, or would like to contact me about the Prisoners for Peace or the work of the Institute for Advancement of Humanity altogether, please make contact.
Thank you, Han, so much for coming and sharing and valuing my purpose and passion in this show. And wake up. Thank you so much. Namaste. I'll leave you with this. To thine own self be true, and it must follow, as the night the day, thou canst not then be false to any man. William Shakespeare. And this our life, exempt from public haunt, finds in the running brooks, sermons in stones, and good in everything. William Shakespeare. It is not work that kills men, it is worry. Work is healthy, and you can hardly put more on a man than he can bear. But worry is rust upon the blade, and it is not movement that destroys the machinery, but friction. By Henry Ward Beecher. Never give up on your pursuit of your purpose and passion, and even if you don't know what that is, work with integrity and have a positive attitude wherever you work, and especially with your family and friends. Be grateful for what you have, who you are. Be grateful for your freedom, and eat healthy. Good nutrition feeds the mind and your body temple. Don't forget to exercise, move your body, feed your spirituality with meditation and prayer with unconditional love. And firstly, love yourself unconditionally and share your abundance and wealth with others. Thanks for watching. Please support Marin TV that brings these messages. And remember, when fear knocks, let faith answer the door. Bye for now, until next time.